everyone. We'll just wait for 5 more minutes as attendees are joining, and then we'll start with our session after 5 minutes. Hello, Sonali. Please confirm whether my voice is audible.
Oh, yes, it is audible, Manasvi.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So let's begin with our session. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. On behalf of Salesforce Admin Group Nasik, I'm very pleased to be able to welcome everyone to our event, Build Your Features with Salesforce CLI and Scratch-ons. So before we get started, I'll brief you all about our group leaders and speakers for the event. Sonali Durjit and myself, Manasvi Garat, Community Group Leaders of Salesforce Admin Group Nasik. We have Debasis Jana and Sonali Durjit amongst us today, and they will be sharing their knowledge on Salesforce CLI and Scratch-ons. Debash is a Salesforce certified application architect with 10 plus years of experience in Salesforce, having an expertise in Salesforce development, requirement analysis, enterprise software, agile methodologies, and customer relationship management. He is also a Trailblazer community group leader and founder of Salesforce Code School.com, and also an author in e-learning platform Udemy. Sonali is currently working as Salesforce DevOps engineer at Cloudworks and a 4x Salesforce certified professional, having an expertise in Salesforce release management, configuration and administration, DevOps, source code management, build and deployment management. A warm welcome to our speakers for today's event, Debasis and Sonali. The event will be conducted in two sessions where Debashis will guide you through SFDX, followed by Sonali, and she will take you through Scratch Ops. After the session, there will be a quiz, and the top three winners will get a chance to win vouchers. I now request Debashis to start with the session. Over to you, Debashis.
Thank you, Manasi. Thank you so much for this meetup, and thank you everyone for joining this meetup to know about Salesforce DX and how we can automate some CLI commands that me and Sonali will take you through these 1 hour sessions. Let me share my screen to go through the what about to Salesforce DX and what are the commands we can work on it. So when I say, I think you can see my screen now, correct, Manasi?
Yes, we can.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So when I say Salesforce DX, what it is and why do we need it? That's the primary thing what we need to understand. Okay. So now just think, before we do, we org-based development. In the sense, we do the development, maybe some configuration change, maybe the Apex programming, or maybe the object creation or anything. So we create the change set, we push to another org, and like that, if I have multiple developers, they work in the same way in the same project. So where I will not have any kind of source of truth. For example, if me and Sonali working in one project and we are working in the same class with two different methods, so now there is a chance of overriding the changes because we are working directly in the sandboxes. So where the source of truth in the org itself where I'm changing it. Like these many challenges we had when we were working in the change set model. So if you see any other technologies, they are using some kind of version control. Okay. So now Salesforce came up with the SFDX. So it's the thing where many tools and the APIs are enabled to follow the DevOps, how you can implement the DevOps in Salesforce. It's the way the developers how build the application, how build the project in the Salesforce platform, the way it's changing the way of working on it. It provide the alternate way from the change set development. Like we can have our own version control, like you may think of Git or maybe Bitbucket control source. We can have that version control, which is going to be our source of truth, and we can work on that. Let's see where the changes from Sonali in that source control and mine changes in my branch or in my source control. So the source of truth is not the org, but in my version control. So we're shifting the development focus from org development to package development. We are going to do that part. And now see, when I say Salesforce DX, it consists of many tools. Like you can say your Visual Studio Code, you can say your Salesforce CLI, you can say your Scratch or the DevOps, which Sonali will show you in the demo completely. And also using Salesforce DX, we can use or we can create the second generation packaging also. So we'll see how all these things are going to happen. I'll start with very basics to show you how am I going to use VS Code, creating a project, and how we are using some kind of CLI interface to execute some CLI commands. And I'll show you the reference where you can go and get the guide to run the commands instead of removing all commands all at a time. So first thing, when DX, what I need to do, definitely we need some tools. So one of the tool we can say are the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so this is, you can see Visual Studio Code where we have some kind of projects. So with Visual Studio Code, what we need have the Visual Studio Code, if you want to install, simply what you can do, you can go to the Salesforce like site, and you can get the VS Code also. If I need the Salesforce Visual Studio Code, simply you can download and install it also. So installation is a normal process how you do installation of any kind of tool. You can search it out and you can get Visual Studio Code and install it. Once you install, what other things you need, that let me show you. So now we need a tool called as CLI, command line interface. So when I say the CLI, what it means? So if you go and search Salesforce CLI, Salesforce, let me open the link so that you can see where you can go it. So all the tools provided by Salesforce you can get from this page. Okay, down you can see the list of tools Salesforce provided for development. Scratch about Salesforce extension, Salesforce CLI, branch tool, or all the stuffs. But I am focusing right now for the CLI. So if you do not have CLI, simply you can go CLI, can install it, you can set the path variables, everything as mentioned, step by step what you can do. You can download for your operating system, for Mac or Windows, for Linux, what you want, you can install it. Okay, so once you install, so your Salesforce CLI is there. For example, once you have CLI there, I'm not going to detail of how we are going to do the setup. It's just installation file, download and install it. If you want to see, simply go to download this and you'll get a CLI file, like normal file, any file. Tell the now if you yes, tell or not, but the validations, the commands will be recognized. Okay, so now once you have CLI, once you have your VS Code, then what you can do, you have something called extensions. If you go to the extensions here, something we have called Salesforce extension pack. Okay, simply you can, I already installed it, so it's showing disable and install. So if you do not have this installation file, you can take here and install it. And when you install the Salesforce extension pack, so this extension pack consists of different extensions. Like it will help you to write, help you to write the component or Visual Force, Lightning or component, all these things. Okay, and also you can see how you can do the replay debugger. Okay, so once you install all these things, now your VS Code will be ready the SFDX mode, or you can say you can create a SFDX project, you can play around with CLI command and everything. So CLI nothing but a command line interface which will be tightly integrated with Visual Studio Code with the extension named as Salesforce CLI integration. It provides integration with the Salesforce CLI Salesforce. What I mean, if I have a CLI command, for example, let me just take you this page. If I want to see what are the Salesforce CLI command we have, if I see CLI command commands, which to in the Salesforce guide, I'll not say you guys go and remember each of the command. Simply you have to go to this place and you can see all the commands. For example, I want to create a Apex class. Okay, what is the command should be? Or I want to connect my VS Code to one of the org. How I can do, how I can authenticate, or how I can do logout. All the commands are listed here. We'll see how some of the commands will execute and we'll see how it's going to happen also. So the CLI what we install from this download what we did the Salesforce CLI tool, and once you install, so that installation going to tightly integrate with the VS Code with this CLI integrations. These are the basic steps what we do. Okay. Secondly, I have my VS Code, I have one of my Salesforce org, and how am I going to create a project? Let's say I'm working in one of the project and I want my org this VS Code, and I will make the changes on this VS Code, and I'll then push the changes to org. I have to create a project. Okay, when I create a Salesforce project, what it mean and what's going to happen on this part. So once your VS Code setup is there, what you can do, you can open the command palette. Depending on your operating system or depending on your system, you can use. For command palette, if you want to open, you can go here and you can see Control Shift P in Windows, or maybe in your Mac you can use Command P or Command Shift P. Okay, so once you open the ask different SFDX commands what we have. Okay, let's say you want to create a new project, you want to connect to a org, whatever you want, you can do it. Let's say I want to create a project. Okay. So now when I say create a project, what it do? There is a CLI command to run. So what is the command? Let me show you that first. Then you'll understand what going to happen. If you go to CLI command reference guide, okay. So whenever I want to create a project, see, I think I don't know what is the command right now. Okay. Capability. Okay, if you can just in this command palette, you can just type and you can get what command to be run or not. If I run this command, what is going to happen? It is asking what type of project you want to build. It's a standard project, or it's a without any template. If you want to create from empty project, or you want to create a project for analytics. So what type of project you want to create? For example, I want to create a standard project. I want to give a project name as, for example, meetup demo. Okay, and I then it will ask me, where do you want to store this project? What is your folder structure you want to store it? Let's say I store it in my D drive, for example. The moment I do it, what exactly going to happen? It in the backend, it's exactly running a command, and running a command means CLI command and creating a project here. Correct. So now, if you see, let me go to terminals, for example. Okay, so now when you create this project, how it's created? It create a CLI command. The thing what we did in VS Code, it's going to do from this command interface what we have. If you see, there is a under different namespaces, we have different commands, SFDS commands. So if you see the under first namespace, we have different commands how to create a project command. For example, if you want to create a project, what you do? If you see, this is nothing but I'm dividing every CLI command in three part. Okay, so what command? It's a SFDS command, or it's a like different namespace. What you say? Let's see auth namespace. If you open auth namespace, it's saying uh, force auth list. Correct. So if I go to this force namespace of project command, you see it's a what it need to be done in this command. Okay, one part. And second, what are the parameters or attribute I need to pass? Okay, I want to create a project. What is my project name? Okay, I can pass the parameters. Or if I say, if you remember in the VS Code, what I did, I create a project, then I this project should be with this name, and then I said this project need to be stored in one of the drive. Correct. So these my SFDS command, what type of command, what I want to do, and to perform these actions, what parameters I need. Okay, I need project name to pass, or I need where is my default package directory should be there, or do I want to use a template with a templates, everything can do. For example, if I go to this SFDS CLI, if I type the same thing, for example, I want to do SFDX post project. So see, instead of remembering this, I can refer it, use the VS Code, like in the command suite palette, what I did here. Now, if I go to this, it's going to type this command, whatever I have. Let's say I don't remember and I want to get the help from it. Simply what I can do, I can say, if I want to create a save this project, what I can do it. So I can get the help. And sometimes like if I and then has to update it, that's fine. So now you can see whenever you do SFDX force project create one command, what are the parameters I can pass, I can see in the help. So I can say what is my output directory, nothing but the project file, what is going to be created. So that's going to be stored in which folder, what is your project name, that's a record field. Okay, then default package, let's use standard empty analytics, remembering it, it was just asking, tell me where you want to, what type of project you want to create. Nothing but the template. Do you want to creating with manifest or not? What is your JSON file and what log level you want to set? Everything. So depending on that, or simply you can click here. The moment I create a project, you can see there is one project created here with the name what I have given and some different files created here, or you can the same thing in my folder. Let me show you that quickly. So demo, the same folder structure you can see here also. So now if you see here, in this folder structure, we have different files. For example, you may think, okay, if I have a Apex class, or if I have a Lightning Web component, or if I have object, where this going to be stored, and what these JSON files, or what this SFDS and for files are going to do it. So now, the moment you see a SFDS project, with the SFDS project JSON file, this will identify, okay, this is a project in the SFDX format. Okay, so now the most important file what you see, or folder what you see, 4 subfolders. If you expand it, in this file you can see different kind of subfolders. Like if you have Apex class, it is going to store under the classes. Right now it's empty. I didn't have anything. I didn't connect to any org also. Just create a project. So then if you see, you develop any LWC file or LWC class, that you can see in the LWC folder here. All LWC component comes here. If you have any objects, that object will come here. Come here, or you can say if you have anything permission set, or if it's any static resources, everything coming up here. If it's any tabs, you come here, trigger come here, all these things. Okay, so what applications you have, that will come here, Aura component, everything coming up here. Similarly, if you see, I have my VS code. In the VS code, I'm going to have some classes or my component what I need for my project. Maybe a class, or maybe lightning component, or maybe a component. So now these things I may, once I write here, I may push these changes to my org, or I may push these changes to my source control, maybe Bitbucket or Git, wherever. So sometimes we may need, okay, let's say I have some profiles. I don't want that profile to be deployed anytime from my from my VS code. Or I don't want to bring the profile informations from my org to VS. So whatever things you want to ignore, when you want to push the changes from VS code to your org, or from org to VS code, if you want to ignore anything, that list we can keep in the force ignore file. You can see here, it will say list of file or directory to ignore them when you are running the push and pull. Okay, in this command. So push pull command in Sonali is going to show you how we are going to do it in the demo. Okay, similarly, if you are using the source control version control system, so if you want, okay, I don't want to sync my some folders, or the changes in the some folders to my source control, I want to ignore that you can specify here. So this file is used for git report to specify on track file that git should ignore. Okay, so if you see the project.json file, so it's nothing but talks about what kind of package you are building, or what is the project. Is this connecting to which org, like your sandbox or test org, and that org running in which version. You can simply downgrade or upgrade version here completely. Okay, so to the definitions of your project, what you're going to do, you can write your readme file, and apart from that, you can say there is something called config file. This is when you build the scratch works, that information we can see also here. So now we have a project, we have VS code, we have CLI integrated with the extension pack, and now we create a project. Now this project I want to connect with the org. So when I want to connect with the org, what I can do, again I can open my command palette. Then you can say it's saying authorize an org. So now this project not connected to any org. Now I'm going to authorize a org. So to which org you want to connect? To your sandbox or productions? Where you want to connect? Let's see, I'm just showing you how I'm going to connect directly with sandboxes, directly with my developer account. Okay, I'm not going to do in the scratcher. I'm doing directly with the developer account. And in the Sonali sessions, we'll see how creating a scratcher, what is scratcher, and how am I going to connect with scratcher also. The similar, let what, let's I want to give the alias name of the or now you see there is a command running. If you see here, so let me just maximize it. So you can see there is a command running to do the login with alias what we selected, and now that's going to be default username. So the moment this command running, there is one login access of access authorization to my VS Code. Okay, I'm just going to set log into this org, for example. You can log into any of the your org, might be your sandbox or developer account or your productions where you want to connect, you can connect it. So now once you connect, so now if it's first time you are connecting with the VS Code, then it will ask to give the authorizations allow options. So now once it's done, it authorize and up successfully ran. And you can see here we exit the code HLO. So now this is the command for run. So now, as I said, I can do from here or I can do from my command line. Means what I, here we see. So for example, what is this web login? How to do it? If I go to this command line interface, let's see, go auth namespace for example. Okay, you can see here your logout, device command, authorization org using a device code, whatever you want to do, everything you can do here. Authorization org using sfdx URL or web command using web browser, everything defined here. Okay, so all the commands whatever you want to see, you can see here. So this command nothing but when you run also, it's exactly invoking the CLI command which we do from the VS Code, and each command what you're running you can see from here also. Once I have my commands, my project connected to the org, that means if I want to create a class, okay, I can create a class here. For example, I want to create a class, I don't know how to do it. So that doesn't mean I'll go here and I'll create a new file or something. So let's see, I go here, I want to create a class. See, I have a command called create app class. Okay. So for example, I can say sample demo CLS. Okay. Where it you want to store, I'll store in my default class folder. In this folder, what class get created, for example. Okay. So now one, that's what I can do. I want to let's see this class what we have. I want to make this class changes to my source org. Okay, deploy this to source org. If I click this, what's going to happen? The classes what I have, I'm running a CLI command to make these changes to my connected org. Okay, so now there is a class created sample demo, and you can see what is the command we ran here. Okay, sfds create apps class, and if you go to the say, guide, and here just a minute, let me open it. You can see the apex command. This is nothing but my class create command. In backend, it create this class. Let's see if I don't know what attribute I can pass. As I said, simply I can go and I can just set here, for example, sfdx course colon apex. I want to get help of it. I don't know what it can do a command where I can pass create as one of the I want to define the creating a class what I can pass. Simply it can take a class name. Okay, you can see here multiple parameters on which folder you want to store, what is the class name, so what type of class it, and what in which API version you want to create, everything you can specify as a parameter. But instead of that, what I did here, simply I use the command here, create access class, give the class name and create it, then I post it. Okay, when I post it, that passing to the so for that also I'll have some kind of command. So what you do here, deploy. If you go here in this first command, now similar way you can find out all the commands listed out here. So now what I'm going to do the specific here to show you, for example, how I can, okay, let me show you one more thing here. We ran the command to deploy the source to org. So let me see in the in the org, do I have a class named as sample demo class what we have created. Okay, so now if I go here to my setup, let me see if I have a class coming to here or not. Okay, okay, you can see the class automatically came to here. The dummy class where we have nothing, the dummy class created and we pass it to here and the same class coming to here. Okay, so now similar way, for example, here I go and just make a minor change just to declare a variable. For example, there is a working on this and they just put VS code to here. For example, I write here one more method, public void m1, for example. I have nothing, no code, nothing else, just to show the demo, just the method I wrote it. So now the changes what we have in this org, I do not have that changes in my Scratch or in my VS code. So you can see there is one more command I can say, retrieve the source from org. From org, how I can bring to here. Simply you can bring to this place. Okay. So once you bring, you can see my code changes also came here. Okay. So now it's nothing but the component what we have, how we can push, how we can get, what component you can create, maybe Apex class, maybe lightning web component. For everything we have a command here. Simply go to the command palette and run what you want. For example, I want to create a lightning web component, you can do here. That's I want to create a Aura component. Okay, you can create Aura components. Okay, I want to create object. Everything you can do through the CLI mode. And now think some scenario where I have my I like if somebody say, okay, can you write a query to get me the account record? So what exactly we do before, maybe in your workbench or maybe in your developer console, like I don't want to store that query, just one time I want to see what are the accounts I have. So we go to developer console and we query editor, write the query, correct? Similar way, we a command to write instead of writing the query here. For example, I want to get the query, get the account record. But it's okay. I want to create an account. So then what we do? I if through the window you do one write a logic to account basis in your account, then set the name and do the insert of account. Apart from that, what we can do, the VS code with CLI have the capability to the data to do the data operation. When I say data operation, what means? So simply to say, anytime if you say the data, it's what it mean. It mean I have a database object. In the object, what I can do, I can say, let me just go to here, just tell you quickly what's going to happen. Okay, leave it. Okay. So now when I am going to play with record, that means either I can create a record, I can delete a record, I can update a record, or I can query the record. Nothing but I can get it. So simply I can say all the cloud operations what I want to do in my database or in my Salesforce, I can do the same thing in my CLI command using VS Code also. So if you see, to go to this command reference, there is lot of data commands given. What is data command? So it says, okay, if you want to, if you see here, use the data command to manipulate a record in your org. So it will help you to work with various API. Even you can import the CSV file with the bulk API. You can export it, you can create, you can delete, you can upsert, you can update all. You can query the records using SQL query, everything. For example, in my org, right now I do not have any account. If I go here, let me see. I'll just go and create one account also. Okay. and few accounts I'll query, and I'll show you how these commands are going to help. If you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat, and we will definitely we can discuss your questions on that part. Okay, if I go to this account part, okay, let's see. I have few accounts. I develop so few accounts are there. Let's I want to create account with a name. What I can do? I don't know what component, what command is needed. Okay, see, you also don't know. Somebody say, okay, and go to the VS Code and write a data command to create a account. What do you do? Simply you go to your data command. I want to create a record. So simply you can see there is a data record create. This command is going to help me. I don't know what to do on this command. So either you can write there or okay, let me go to this command prompt. Let's I'm going to write sfdx. Here you can see what I want to do. I want to create a record. This is the command for me. Force data record create. Simply I can go here. I can write sfdx force. What I want to do in the force, I want to create a record using my data command. So what is my command? My command says data. What I want to do? I want to create a record. This is the command I want to invoke. So when I say I'm creating a record, what do you do? On which object you want to create? So what is the field you want to set? That also you have to pass. So I don't know how parameter to pass, for example. I say help it. And now you can see it says whenever you want to create a record, you simply use force data record create on which object you pass with hyphen s, and what are the parameters you want pass with field name and its value. Okay, like this we can pass. So now think example similar way, I want to create a record in my account object. Okay, so what I can do, I can write the similar logic. So what I'll do here, I can simply go here and write the object. Okay, so let's see. Let me go to terminal. I'm just going to write here sfdx, same command writing here, or if needed I can just simply copy from here and I can show you right now. Instead of typing completely, you can just copy from here and say, okay, go to your VS Code, terminal, type here. Okay, see hyphen h, similar thing will happen here. Okay, I want to create account. Simply I'm going to get this command to execute. Okay, so now from CLI mode, I'm going to create an account. Okay, so I hit enter, the same name as SCME, for example. Okay, so now you can see creating record for account, and it will return you the account ID what we got created. If I go to my org now, okay, let me refresh this list. See, one new account got created with name as SCME. Correct. Similar way, if I want to query the account, no complex, nothing else. It's just quite easy to know what you need to do. Let's say I want to query the record. Okay. Similar way, force data, SQL query is the command what we have to use. Okay. What I want to query, I don't know. What parameter do you pass? Simply I can use the hyphen h and I can see what parameter need to you pass. So now let's see when you want to query, how I'll do. I can simply write your query statement directly from here. That means simply I can say my query statement going to be, for example, select name from account without any conditions. I'm just going to put it. Okay. Okay, now we can see it's saying there is some kind of unexpected argument came. Select name from account. So let's see what it's going to do here. So now when I did the help, what it say? I'm going to pass with double quote here. I set as single quote. So you remember this one. When the complete query statement you pass in a double quote, and inside that, whenever you have any string literals, keep that in a single quote. That's the one of the important thing you have to remember it. Now you can see I just fix it and we create unexpected argument, select name from account. Okay, let me just copy this query completely. Okay, one more thing I missed here. You can see after query, what is the query statement you have to pass? Okay, because in the query I can have a query, then I can have a where conditions, multiple things you can see here. query, then in what format you want to get result, do you want to use tooling API or REST API, what is your target username, on which API version you want to run the query, everything. So now CLI not understanding which is the query statement here. So to do that, remember, we have to pass appropriate parameter. See, now I say I want to pass this query execute. Okay, now you can see the data coming like this. Let's say I want this data to become with a specific format that's going as a result format. So what result format can be? Let's say I want to get the result format like let me show you here this help. Okay, when I see the result format you can pass as a human readable format or CSV or JSON format. Okay, let's see. I want to get as a CSV file. Okay, what I can do? Let's similar way I can say hyphen r CSV, or you can say you want to get it with human readable format, or you want to get it with the JSON file. What is accordingly the data will come in that format. Okay. So you can just try it out. So how it's going to happen? Similar way you can see what happen, how we are going to set the parameters and how we are going to get the informations. Okay. So any kind of query you can do. Let's see, I want to see what are the Apex classes I have right now in the org. Okay. Simply I can do the select name from Apex class or Apex trigger, and you can execute the query also. Or if you want to update any data, so what you can do, similar way you can go to the update statements. So here you can see all the update statements. Like when you say update, we have to pass a record ID as another extra parameters to specify on which record ID of which object to set. For example, if this is a command for me for update, so what I can do, let me write here so you can see the complete in the screen. Let's do the help. So you can see here, whenever you want to do the update, there are some record attribute to which object you want to update. On that object, on which record you want to update. So these two attribute you have to pass, the A subject ID and A subject type. Then what are the values you want to update? That kind of parameter you can run. For example, I want to update in the account object of this record ID name from ECME to new ECME, which record we created. Simply this command going to help me. So if you see here, okay, I'll take my record ID of this account what we have, and I want to change this name. Just basic example I'm keeping so that it will be easy for all of you to understand it. Similar way it's going to update it. So what are the arguments you need to pass, how the data commands you are going to run, everything you can just refer in CLI command reference. So this is the main thing what I want to tell you. This is just keep ready with you always. So you no need to remember any command, simply use it. Either you create a project or push the changes to org or pull the changes from org or retrieve data or make any changes or do the deployment. Everything can be happen through the CLI commands here or through the VS code what we have. And when query you are running, for example, if command palette also helps us to run the query. We see you can execute a SQL query here. You can write completely query here also. Select name from account, for example. Do you want to use using a tooling API or REST API? Let's say I want a tooling API. Now you can see same command running here also. Either you can do from here or from here, you will get the records whatever you have. Okay, similar way. Okay, so it's this is the tooling API not enabled now, so that's why it's not coming up. So how you want to do using what API you can get it. Okay, so this is the basic of CLI, how we are running in ABS code. Now I will call Sonali to go through the demo of what we have built to show you more insight on Salesforce CLI and Salesforce DX. Over to you, Sonali.
Yes, to correct, so I will be explaining about the scratch org part to
Yeah.
be specific. Yeah, so hello everyone. So Sonali here, and let me know once the screen is visible. Anyone can confirm. Is the screen visible? Yes. So hi, hello everyone. So we will be looking the use of scratch orgs for the Salesforce development. So here we go. So like before we start with the actual demo, I will just highlight what a scratch org means in Salesforce. So we have this production org, which is the main org, which we log in using login.salesforce.com, and we have the sandboxes in Salesforce. So sandbox, these are basically the test orgs which we create out of sandbox, which we create out of the production, and we can perform the development and then pass on the changes via deployment to the production orgs. So likewise, we are having a special type of orgs in Salesforce which we call it as a scratch org. So what is a scratch org? So scratch org, it's like we can say it's a org similar to the sandbox, but it is like a disposable org. So it has a very short lifespan, and it's basically used to perform the development. So it can be used to develop any features or manage packages, and likewise things. So within a scratch org, we can create a scratch org before we start any new project, and each developer can have their own scratch orgs. They can perform their development based on the user stories that they are assigned into the scratch orgs. Then they scratch orgs can also be used to test the features. So we have these QA teams who basically checks the quality of the code and all the test scenarios. So we can also like automatically create scratch logs, and the QA team, they can like test the capability of the feature that has been developed inside the scratch logs. So this is like a disposable org which is basically used for feature wise development, I can say. So as I told, scratch orgs, they are like empty org. So basically we have to define our scratch org, how it will be there, what features we need to include, then what will be the users, and what all settings, everything that we need to have in the scratch org, we need to define while we are creating the scratch orgs. And yes, scratch orgs, they are like created via the CLI commands, which Debasis has already told us. So we have certain specific commands which we can run, and then we can create a scratch org in seconds. So coming to sandbox, they are like having a long span duration. There is no expiry date for sandboxes, but for the scratch org, as it's like we have features development which is like for a specific duration, sprint wise is there, or maybe some projects which have a very short deadline, or like for the very like scratch orgs, they are having a short lifespan, and we can have like this scratch org for maximum lifespan of 30 days, which is like standard thing provided by Salesforce, that we can have a scratch org maximum lifetime of 30 days. Also, like we can specify like for how many days we have to keep that scratch org active. Like we can manually specify the number of days while we are running the command, and if we are not specifying, by default it is 7 days. And once the scratch org is expired, like we cannot recover. So basically we have to make sure that whatever code is being developed in the scratch org, we take a backup in the VS code, or we pass on to the other environments. And coming to we cannot create a scratch org directly in Salesforce. So basically we have, that is a very special setting which we need to enable, and after we enable that setting, then and then only we can create a scratch org. So I will tell you what is that setting. Let me log into the production org. So basically this setting, it is available only in the production org, or the developer edition, the try logs that we get from the Salesforce. So if anyone try to enable or see that setting in the sandboxes, it will not be available. So the setting will be available under the setup area. In the quick find box, you just have to type DevOps. So under the development section, we have this DevOps. So very first time, if it's a new production org and we are using the scratch org for the first time, so that at that time we need to enable this DevOps setting. So it's there in the setup, development, and DevOps. So inside this DevOps, we have this enable DevOps. There is a toggle button. So it's a one-time setting. Basically, we cannot disable this setting from our end at least. So before we create any scratch org for the first time, if we are using any scratch org, so we have to make sure this setting is enabled, so the admins or the one who are monitoring this org, they can help us to active this setting, which is basically available only in the production or the developer edition orgs that we get from the Salesforce. And if you see here, like there is some info, so we can create and manage scratch orgs, then we can view information. So everything related to scratch orgs, we can access that functionality only if this setting is enabled. And it's a one-time setting that we need to do for while we are using the scratch org. So this was about the setting. And yes, so we know that from the Salesforce end, we have certain limitations or the governor limits. So likewise, for the scratch orgs also, we have certain limitations from the Salesforce side. So based on the addition or the licenses that a company purchase, based on that we have a specific number that is assigned. So for example, as per this chart, so this information is already available on the Salesforce documentation, but to highlight, say for the developer edition, we can have these numbers. So daily scratch org allocation for of 6, then the active scratch org allocation 3, likewise for the enterprise, and unlimited and the performance edition. So based on the editions, this allocations is being provided by Salesforce. And yeah, so before we proceed with the actual demo, so I will be showing you a demo with one example. But whenever we are creating a scratch org, so basically what happens after we enable the setting, we there is a standard object from Salesforce. So certain objects get available in the Salesforce after we enable this setting. So if you search scratch in the object manager, we can get these two objects. One is the active scratch org and the scratch org info. So these objects, they are like a container for the scratch org. So likewise, whenever we are creating a record, or say we are creating an account record or an opportunity record, so those are stored under the object, which is a container. So likewise for this orgs also, we have a container objects, and we have these two objects specifically. One is the active scratch org and another is the scratch org info. And we can get the list of if we want to see the list of scratch orgs that are present, we can see it from this object thing. So right now I have two scratch orgs which are active in my org, and I can just access it from here. So this is if you want to see how many scratch orgs or list of scratch orgs that are currently active, we can just go in the object, we can go in the app for this launcher, and in the tab active scratch org, we can get the list of active scratch orgs. So this is from where we can access the basic details of a scratch org. Now the next thing is Yeah, so I will like not like show the slides. I will try to explain, or we will try to see by our demo only. So basically, this will be the things that we will be seeing in the next few minutes. So I will explain how we will create a scratcher using the Salesforce CLI capability. So I will show you via the commands, exact commands. Then we'll take an example. So what I'll do, I will create a scratch arc first from the production arc, and then after I create that scratch arc, I will like considering that I am a developer, so I will like create a new object named events in the scratch arc. After I create this object, what I'll do, I'll try to like how we retrieve any new components from our sandboxes, yeah, from a developer sandbox. In a similar way, I can retrieve via retrieve command, or for scratcher we also have this pull command. So via executing this pull command, I can like fetch the developed work, and then after I fetch, I will try to deploy it to my some developer edition org. So I have one developer edition org already created. I will try to deploy in that org, and vice versa. What I'll do, I will create a new field or something in the developer edition org, and then I will try to deploy or push to the scratcher. So this will be the demo. And after this, I will like show you how I can automate this process. So this is like a manual process I will show first, and then I will explain you or show you a demo via automation script. So here goes the demo. Starting with like I will firstly create a folder. So it's like something which I will show you from the scratch. So firstly, like I am creating a folder name event demo. So basically this directory I will use. So I will be using the VS Code. So this is like firstly, so I will open this particular folder in the VS Code which I have just created, event demo. So my this will be the location where I will actually create everything. Yes. So here, if you are able to see, Debasis just explained like how via CLI we can create the project. So at the background there is a certain command like this. Also, I will create a project, and then within that project I will like explain you how to create the scratch. So this is a command that will help us to create the DX project. I will just replace this particular project name. So maybe my project name is event. That is my project name, event project, and my app is a default directory. So I will like run this command, and by this command, a basic SFDX project will be created. So if you see, after I run this command, this project will be created. I'll just navigate. So whenever like we are creating a SFDX project, we have to make sure that we are inside that project after before we like execute any commands. So next thing, like as we know, this VS Code we can connect to multiple orgs. So we can connect to multiple production orgs. We can connect to multiple sandboxes, and likewise we can connect to Scratch. Likewise we can connect to the Scratch orgs also. So we have this very handy command which we can use to get a list of orgs that are currently connected to my particular VS Code CLI. So it's a very easy command, sfdx force this colon org list. Yeah. So if you see, there are like multiple orgs which are connected, and now what I'll do, I will authenticate my production org, which will be my DevOps. So as it's a production org, my URL will be the login.salesforce.com, and I will just pass an alias name. So now this is like Nasik-org. It's my production org. It's a developer edition org maybe, and I just execute this command. So it will open a window which will ask me to log into that particular org. So I'm logging to this org. So if it's the first time, it will ask for the CLI access, but right now it will like create it directly. Yeah, so my project is like successfully authorized. Now, before we create a scratcher, we have to specify like which will be the DevOps username. So there are two types of username which we specify in like Salesforce CLI. One is the default username. So default username, it can be anything. It can be a sandbox or a production. We can use any. And default DevOps username, it must be or must be the production or the developer. So the org which has that DevOps setting, that is basically our default username. So right now I am setting the same org, Nasik org, as a default DevOps username and the default username for this particular project that I have created. So basically what happens after I run this command, inside this dot s or directory in this particular project, we have this dot sfdx, this location, and inside this location a file is created, a sfdx config json file is created. In this file we have the same things that we have specified while we run this command. The default username, which is a Nasik, or so this is our alias name, and default DevOps username, it's also the Nasik org. So this particular, the line number 3, default DevOps username, this is very important in a project before we create any scratch job. Now like there can be we can create a scratch org via like multiple ways. One can be via org shape, or other can be via this JSON file, so the scratch org definition file. So we have to, as I said, that it's a customizable org. We can customize this org as per our requirement. So we have this config, and inside this config we have this project scratch diff JSON file. So this is a scratch org definition file. So basically it has certain like parameters, we can say, which is the org name. So org name, it can be the organization name. So by default, whenever we create this so sfdx project, we have it as a demo company, but I can give it like any other name. So as of now, I give my scratch org name as a Nasik admin. I can specify the edition. So right now it's a developer edition, but we can have like the other edition specified also. We can specify features. So like this is a sample file that we get from Salesforce. But if we want to customize as per your requirement, we can get like information from this particular Salesforce DX developer guide. So here we can see multiple features or multiple ways how we can like customize a scratcher definition file. So see, org name, it's a company name. We can also specify the company name, username. So by default, it's like we can also specify the default username while we are customizing this file, the admin email, edition, which can be developer, enterprise, group, or professional. So right now it's a developer, but we can use all these other options as well. Likewise, which all settings we have to enable. We have this particular object settings related to the sharing model, like private, read only. We can set the default record type. So we can like customize our definition file as per our requirement. So if you see this particular file, this particular definition file, it is like it has these features which will get activated if we use this file: communities, feature, service cloud, chatbot. The edition is the developer edition. Then object settings. So we have multiple objects in Salesforce. So by default, for this particular definition file, for this opportunity object, we are having the sharing model set as private, the default record type. So likewise, we can customize this definition file as per our requirement, and this same definition file we can share with the developers, and developers can use this standard file or comment file while they are spinning up a new scratch job. So likewise, we can do other things also in this scratchwork definition file. Like we can there is this scratchwork settings, so which basically we can specify your community setting, lightning experience setting, mobile settings. If we have the omni channel enabled in the org, so we have to enable in the scratchwork, so we can use this particular settings. Then case settings, and likewise we have this scratch chalk feature. So we can actually we can use this particular this particular statement like features. For example, I want to enable the multi currency, so I can use something like this in my definition file. So we have this huge list, and we can get the reference or use this particular documentation link whenever we are customizing our scratcher definition file. So right now what I'll do, I will use a sample file to create a scratcher. This is a definition file which will be used in the background whenever I run the scratcher creation command. So now how to create a scratcher via command. So there is this uh, command that I will be using. I will explain the command as well. So basically, I have to pass certain things before I create the scratcher. One is the alias name. So we have to specify what will be the alias name. So right now I will give it as a scratch org 3. So as I already have two scratcher, I will have this now scratch org 3. Then hyphen d. So hyphen d, it's like how for how many days I have to keep this scratch org active. So as I showed in my slide, we can have maximum lifespan of 30 days, default 7, and we can customize as well. So right now I will give like 15 days. So basically when this scratch org will be created, it will be active for 15 days from the day it has been created. And then this is a definition file. So I have to specify the path. So basically inside this config folder, as I am in the event project folder, inside this config folder I have this definition file. So there is just this path for the definition file. So this is my command which I will enter, and then in the background what will happen is scratcher will get created. It will take few fraction of seconds, and the scratch org will be created shortly. Yeah, so as we see now, the scratch org is created. So this is a org ID for that particular scratch org, and this is a default username which gets created while the scratch org is spent. So I can access this information again from this particular object as well. So right now I'll just refresh it. There were two orgs. Now this is the third org that is created, and as my definition file, it has something like org name as Nasik admin. So right now my scratch org, it has a org name as Nasik admin. Then active days is 15. This is created on CS 114 instance, and this is the default username that is there. And likewise the one who is created, so like I am creating, so this is the email ID which gets default populated in this particular object. So I can verify it from this particular object or tab whether my scratch org is created, or otherwise I can use again a simple command to open the scratch org via command. So like to log into the sandboxes, we need the username password. So password is the mandatory thing, but for scratch org, it's an optional thing. Like we can have or we can keep it as optional whether to have a password or not. Right now, what I'll do, I'll just run this specific command sfdx force org open and -u as the username. So I can pass the alias name also. So my alias name for this particular scratch org is scratch org 3. After I run this command, automatically in the browser, that particular scratch org will get open. See now this particular, my scratch org is open. And this is like, this will be the my org which I will use for the development purpose. So for consider the real time scenario, there is a team of developers and they are working on specific features. So we can give them a dedicated scratch org, and inside this scratch org they can start working on their user stories, and then after their user story has been developed in the scratch org, they can just pass it in the further environment. So this is how we can create a scratch org. As per the slide, we have covered this first part, create a scratch org. Now what I'll do, I will create an object named events in the scratch org. So this is my scratch org. It has a very like random URL which is there. Like this is the URL. In the object manager, I will create a new object named events inside my scratch org. So right now I'm disabling all these things because it's just a demo. So my event object, it's created in the scratch org. So now this part is done. Now what I'll do, I will run a pull command. So basically what pull command does, it does the same task as a retrieve operation. So we are like retrieving the components that are there in the scratch org in our project directory, the sftx project that we have created. So the pull command, it looks something like this. Scratch org. Yes, it's a simple command sfdx force source pull. This is like a username, and I can just run this command. Yes, so what it did, whatever the like I have made changes in this particular scratch org, it fetch everything and just displayed it over here. And it retrieved in the source format. I can also verify it from here. So basically, inside my app main default, we have this object folder, and inside this object folder, I have this particular event object XML file. And likewise, we have this layouts and the other things. So this is about the pull command. And now what I'll do, after I have like created, I will just this is the third step, so deploy to the developer edition org. So I have this Nasik org. I will deploy this particular components, this particular event object, which is right now not present in my Nasik admin org. So I will just try to deploy it. So this is a deployment command. So we have to specify in the manifest the package XML file. So Inside this manifest, we have this package XML file wherein I can specify what all components I need to deploy. So I have already created this sample file and just replace the content over here. Yeah. Also, like we can change this API version. So right now 54, it's for the upcoming release, and we can have 53, or we can specify the version in which we want to retrieve. And also we have to make sure that this what particular version it's like in equal to what is there defined here scratch or project JSON file. So here it goes. This is my particular event object, and I want to deploy this particular change to this Nasik org. And the changes or the components will be picked from this particular my app directory. Just run this command. So this is a deployment ID. I will just open here. This is my Nasik org in the deployment status. So this is like, I think this is the latest one if it is completed. Deployed. So these two particular components, event object and its layout is been deployed, and we can get the deployment status here also. So we have to just exclude this last three letters, and we can see so VYZO. So this is the deployment status I can say. Now I can also verify it from the object manager whether my particular object is being deployed or not. So the one with the underscore C, that's the customer object that I have created in the scratch org, and then via the CLI command I have like pushed it into the push or that deployed into the Nasik org, this particular developer edition org. So we saw this part deployed to the developer edition org and the last section. So now what I'll do, I will make a change in the developer edition org, and I'll try to push that into the scratch org. So I'll just add a custom field. Maybe I will add a email field. Registration email. So this is a field I'm adding. Right now I'll just make it visible to admin. I'm adding that field to the event layout in save. So what I did, I just created a new field in the deployed object in the developer edition org. Now what I'll do, I will just retrieve it here. So again, we have a simple command which we can use. It's a retrieve command we can use to fetch those components. Again, before we retrieve, yeah. So I'm about to retrieve the same thing. I will retrieve this object and this particular layout. Yeah, so now you can see there's a custom field is also retrieved, and we can verify it from here. So this is a source format wherein under object, I have this field folder, and inside this field folder, I have the XML for the registration email field, which I just created. Now my next step is like I will push this particular field via push command into the scratcher. So again, we have a very simple command which we can just use, and we can push the components. So these are like manual steps, but all these things can be automated via like automation script. So it's a simple command sfdx force source push, and we have to pass the scratch or alias name. Now this push command, it's similar to the deploy command. So what it does, it sends a deployment request to the Scratch org, and it starts to deploy into the Scratch. So this is my Scratch org, Fun Enterprise. This is my Scratch org. I can just verify into the deployment status also, and then later I can verify it into the object manager as well. So this is the first deployment ever in this Scratch org. Yeah. I can verify the deployment ID. So it has something YOT R, and you can see the status also. So basically this event object XML file, and it is change, and add means this is something new change that is deployed into the Scratch org or push into the Scratch org. So we can get it from the deployment status, and likewise I can verify it from directly the object also. So I have it already open. I'll refresh this inside this field. So I have the registration email field push into the Scratch org. So we can use these similar commands. The commands which Debashish already explained, we can use the similar commands, and then we can like develop our features inside the Scratch org. So this was about the Scratch org, and now I'll try to show you some automation that I have created. A very simple automation. So we can basically write certain scripts. We can you can choose the language of your own. You can choose Java, Python, or any other scripting, or we have the simplest one, the shell script also. So I have created a sample script using a shell, and I can just show you. So what it does, whatever steps I showed you in these steps, we are creating a new project, then I'm authorizing my org, I'm asking the duration, for how many days Scratch org will be active. So basically I'm doing all those activities via this particular script. So it's a shell script in which I have specified all those commands, and I will take input while we are running the script, and it will automatically create a Scratch job for me. So I have this file, pasted it here. I will just open or run this particular file. So it asking me for a folder name. So I'll give the name as maybe automation demo. This is my folder name. Now it is asking me for the SFDX project name. So it will run the SFDX create project, the command which I showed. This command, it will run this particular command, project creation command. So create Scratch org. This is my project name. Now it created this particular project structure. Now it is asking me enter your username for the Scratch org name. So the username which I want to link. So maybe I can use, this is the username I'm using, admins @nasik.com. Now I have already specified the DevOps username. So it ran the config default this DevOps setting command. Now it's asking me the Scratch org name, the alias name. So right now I'm giving my Scratch org maybe 4. This will be my fourth Scratch org. Now it's asking me enter the Scratch org duration or the number of days. So I want to keep it for say 4 days only. Now it runs the Scratch org creation command, and after a fraction of seconds we have the Scratch org created. So we don't need to run this command. We can just specify it for only for one time in the script, and then we can just execute that script to create the Scratch org. Now I think my Scratch org is created, and I can just verify it from here. Just refresh this. All active Scratch org. I think it did not run properly, but this is how like we can use this scratch org thing. Let me try it once again, and after this we'll like conclude.
Only can you deactivate one scratch existing scratcher can do it. There
Uh,
will be three active scratcher in developer.
yes, yes, correct. Yeah, that's what. Let me deactivate this one, or maybe I can just delete one of the org. Maybe I can open the other object, info object. Scratch org infos. Scratch org. No, it's not created actually. I think so. Let me try it once again and delete all the socks. This one also I'm deleting. Mm, Its project elements at the nasik.com. This is my username. Scratch org alias name. I'll give it as simple org 5 for 6 days. Now it is created. So after it's create, it opened in the browser, and now I will be able to see it here as well. Scratch 5. So this is how we can like automate this scratcher creation. Not only scratcher creation, basically we can automate the other activities also, like the data import operation and all those tasks also we can automate via scripts. So this was a short like introduction about the use of scratcher, and I think we can take the questions, Debashish.
Yeah, yeah. I think like to add the point with Sonali, like you see, before when you create the scratch org and all the steps, we took around 20-25 minutes time. But if you write the script, we just put the input parameter and 2 minute time that happens. So any activity you do in day to day in regular base, instead of executing multiple commands, we can create the script and we can execute it to utilize our time in some other developments. So like if you have deployment, and for deployment or creating package, you are doing many activity steps that you can do through the script automations. I'm correct, Sonali. Yeah.
So we can take the questions, and after that we'll have the quiz also. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I think questions we have all answered in the chat itself. I don't see any unanswered questions we have.
Okay.
Yeah. Only one question, last
Yeah,
question is that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it actually hit the limit. That's why I was not able to create the active scratcher limit was hit.
Yes. Yes.
That's why. So after I deleted all those, I was able to create.
Yep.
And how we are able to create scratcher without giving password using. So I think it's already answered. Yeah. Okay. Manisvi, you can lead the quiz session. So to highlight, we have a quiz. It will have 5 questions, and Manasvi will show the details after you clear the quiz. So the one to answer the questions fast will get more points, and we will have 3 lucky winners. the top three winners who will get certification vouchers from our community. So these vouchers, it can be used for the $200 exams, or for the 400 the architect level exams also. You can use these vouchers. And yes, Manasvi, you can continue. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sonali and Debasis, for such an insightful session. So, let's get ready for the quiz now. I'll present my screen. Any one of you please confirm whether my screen is visible?
So we can
Yeah.
see the screen.
Yeah, thank you, Debasis, for the confirmation. Okay, so before we start with the quiz, I'll tell you some guidelines about the quiz. All the attendees need to enter this link, joinmyquiz.com, on your browser, and I'll also provide the link in the chat box.
Log in via your laptop or mobile device, anyone will do. Make sure you specify a proper name, not like a dummy name.
Yeah. Okay, and after that, you have to put this pin 276881. Enter your name, and you'll be successfully registered. As you can see, those are registered successfully. Their names are seen on the screen. So I can see 19, 20, 21. Okay.
I have 48 overall, so excluding me, Debashish, Manasvi, still we have like 42, 43 must join the quiz.
Yes. If there are any issues you're facing to join the quiz, please mention in the chat box. We'll help you with the same. Yeah, the pin is 276881. So I can see 36 of them have joined. 37, yes. So I'll start with the quiz. After I start with the quiz, you'll be seeing the questions and the respective options on your devices, and you have to answer it. Also, the leaderboard will be shown up on the screen here. There are 5 questions in the quiz. Okay, so in the leaderboard, I can see Pradeep, Sachin, Divya. Okay, the leaderboard is showing Divya on the top now. So there is, okay, Divya on top again, Shubhash Jha, SK Naseem, Akhtar, Prasant. Come on, guys, ask the questions. So on top again, it's Rohit.
Of competition.
Yeah. So I can see here, it's 49% accuracy again. The scoreboard is stable now with Rohit Goel, Pooja Sharma. So 42 out of 51.
Everyone has chance. No, 45.
45
Still we have few
46.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. How come 53 players? I see less people and it's strange. We have 43 attendees and 53 are appearing for the quiz.
Yeah, let's check now. We'll get to know from the email IDs as well.
Hmm. So guys, you must attend from only one device at a time, like, to make sure you are like we have 53 here and we have only 42 attendees, so that is something strange.
Yeah, I think it's over. We can
Yeah.
close. Yeah. Yeah.
So as we can see on the leaderboard, Rohit Goel, Pooja Sharma, and SK Nasim Akhtar are in the quiz. Okay, so on third is SK Nasim Akhtar, Rohit Goel is on first, and on second is Pooja Sharma.
So congrats to all the winners. You can paste your email IDs here in the chat so that we can process the vouchers for you all. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So thank you all the participants as well as congratulations to the winners. Winners are requested to please put up your email IDs in the chat box so that we can send the voucher code on your respective email IDs.
Yeah, and we had a very active audience, so they were really answering the questions. So thank you guys for attending the session and being so active. And yeah, I would like to thank Debashish also for leading this session in the first half, and Manasvi for organizing and managing the other stuff.
And we would also like
And
to thank Sudarshan for volunteering the event for such interesting posters as well.
yeah, so I think we can end the session. So we will have many more sessions coming, and just stay tuned to our event page, LinkedIn. You can follow us on LinkedIn, or you can follow the event page to stay updated with the events uh, notices.
Yep. Thank you, Sonali.
Yeah,
Thank you, everyone, for
thank
joining.
you. Yeah, bye. I'm ending the session.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.